what practices we need to put in place to make sure that we're targeting resources and strategies to the students who need them most. And I think, you know, when you're in your classroom as an educator and you're thinking about federal decisions that impact you, they're going to be things like, you know, the administering of assessments at the end of the year in English language arts, math, science, all the other subjects that are tested, that's a state policy. And states have had a lot of really interesting dialogue over the past really 5 years, trying to figure out which subjects they need to test in, which they don't, you know, trying to right size the amount of assessments that are being administered in their schools. When you are looking at the dashboards or the accountability systems that are built to evaluate the overall quality of your school, some of those indicators are going to be federally required, and some may be indicators that the state has added on in addition, could even be indicators that your local school might have added on in addition. And so it's really trying to get clarity on which ones are federally required. Those would be things like, you know, percent proficient on your state tests, graduation rates, percentage of English language learners that are achieving proficiency in the language, you know, and I think we are seeing an explosion of new indicators from states to add on and from districts to add on, which is great. We're getting lots more data, but it's really important that as education advocates that you lift your voice up about what indicators are going to paint the best picture of performance in your particular school district. And then I could think just the last thing I'll say is, you know, the federal government, you know, with that 8% of funding, 10% of funding, you know, they do target those resources strategically, and you guys will be the ones to best advocate for the practices that are working with those dollars. And so how do you lift that information back up to your policymakers so that they can ensure that those formula programs, those block grant programs are structured in a way that those resources are being spent and dedicated to effective practice. I mean, we have that conversation at the federal level all the time. You know, we kind of, there's this impression that a check is cut and it goes out the door, and oftentimes we have no idea how it's spent or if it's being used wisely. And for you to lift your voice to help shape and ensure that those resources are spent wisely, I think that's a really important advocacy position as well.